The difference between registered capital and paid-up capital when you form a company in China is that registered capital, it will be just on the paper, and it is a promise by shareholders of the company that they will invest or inject this kind of capital during the validity of the company's license. For example, if you register a company in Shanghai, your license will be valid about 30 years. It can also be longer than that. So it means that you will have 30 years to inject that registered capital. Now, many people ask how much should the registered capital be. To answer this, you need to actually speak to your agent, and the amount can be found out by contacting that specific local government. For example, in Shanghai, there are many different districts, and depending on where you register your company, registered capital amount might actually change. Okay, for example, in economic zone of Songjiang, registered capital is around 300,000 USD for trading companies. This is what they recommend, and this is what they accept. Okay, anything lower than that, that specific local government does not accept it. So it means you have to look for other place that will accept your registered capital. But generally speaking, the average registered capital required by the local governments for trading companies is no less than 300,000 USD. Okay, this is the average. Of course, you can find here and there are some lower ones as well. That might accept you with 100,000 USD, but generally speaking, the average is 300,000 USD. But there are some economic zones as well, like we mentioned before. Economic zones, they have their own policies, so to speak. Of course, it's their specific policies are related to the central government policy, but still they might have some specific requirements, such as, for example, again, there's an economic zone in Songjiang we cooperate with, and their minimum requirement is 1 million USD for registered capital. Now, if we talk about paid-up capital, we need to mention that in China, actually, when you form a trading or consulting company, there is no paid-up capital. So the shareholders are not required to actually pay up any capital. It means they don't have to put or inject in the bank at the time of registration. Okay. And now the question comes, like, what happens if we start a company and then after some time we decide to shut it down? And do we still have to inject that registered capital that we promised in the beginning? The answer is no, you don't have to. You will be allowed to close the company without making any contributions or injections towards the registered capital. Okay, at any time you can, shut your company down or, liquidate it, provided that the company does not have any outstanding tax payments, for example, or any issues with the authorities. Because during the company's liquidation process, the accountant of the company is going to communicate with the tax office and also with other various government departments, and they will actually thoroughly check the activities of the company. So in order to close it, your company should be clean, with clean record. Okay, so registered capital or paid up capital is not the requirement, okay, to shut the company down. And another question people ask is, for example, if I want to start a restaurant, or I want to start a cafe, or maybe a gym in China, do I have to pay up any capital? The answer to this is no, again, because again, it was eliminated a few years ago. Even for gym, restaurant, cafe, bakery, none of that requires any paid up capital. Now, Then which type of business requires paid-up capital? The answer is nowadays is for manufacturing businesses, and also there are some types of, for example, financial services. So those types of companies require paid-up capital, and paid-up capital is normally decided again by the local government where you are registering your company in. There is an economic zone in Shanghai that we cooperate with, and they only accept manufacturing companies. So when we asked about registered capital and paid-up capital for manufacturing companies, the answer is it depends on the area and the size of the company. Obviously, starting a manufacturing company requires a lot of investment, so that's why. And also, one of the requirements is in the place of registration, you need to actually have a space for production, right? So the amount of paid-up capital is linked to the size of that space. For example, you are renting 100 square meter or 500 square meter space, and then registered capital and also paid-up capital is going to be calculated based on that. Now, another question is related to registered capital that we get asked often is it actually required to make a contribution towards the registered capital? For example, we are a startup, we have a team of 5 or 3, and we just want to start the business, but at this point we don't have any funds to make any contributions. Now, a lot of people get confused in this. They think, okay, registered capital, it's on paper, so we can just get by, by doing, by opening a company and then start running it. But actually, the situation is more complex than that. The requirement, whether you have to actually make any contributions or not, it depends on your business, actually. So, for example, there's a startup, they are developing, on their own, and they don't need any funding, for example, or they don't need any contracts with bigger companies in China. And for them, for this kind of scenario, probably it's not required and it's not necessary to make any contributions towards the registered capital. Why? Because this is a startup, and they are working on their product, and they can start selling those products, for example, services or physical products, and then generate income, right? But let's take a look at another scenario. Another scenario will be your company is already active elsewhere, maybe outside of China, and you open a company here, trading company here in Shanghai, and then you want to sign agreements with for example, local companies, maybe local manufacturing companies, or any serious company or a brand in China. So what happens then? Because companies, registered capital and companies' funds and also company shareholders are public data in China, your potential clients, your potential partners, they can easily look up. For example, your company opened a branch office or a trading company here, and then you want to sign a contract with, let's say, Alibaba, right? And they can easily look up if you have made any contributions towards your registered capital. It's accessible, it's public data, and with a little bit extra payment, they can actually find out who actually did the contributions as well, and how much, and specifically which person, etc., etc. So of course, if your company has made some contributions towards the registered capital, for example, the registered capital was 1 million, and then within the first couple of months you have actually paid up that capital, it will appear in the system. It makes your company more reliable in the eyes of the potential partners. It makes it more committed in the eyes of serious, for example, clients or partners again in China. Why? Because they can see that you have made this contribution. It shows your commitment, it shows your seriousness, right? So with that, I think I've made clear distinction. I think, I hope. And if you have any questions related to registered capital, paid up capital, you can leave in the comment section below, and we will be happy to talk about them in the next videos, or you can send us an email and we'll answer to your questions. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next videos.